That's it. You know I'm anti-war.
Yeah,
and I don't try to take sides in all this, but I mean, the Iranian president every week says, and I went and looked at the translation, he's saying it, we're going to blow Israel off the map. You got a country like Israel with all these nukes, Iran's getting nukes, they wanted to be able to deploy them, and then they're saying, I'm going to nuke you. It's like some guy that weighs, 50 pounds threatening the UFC champion. Why is Iran asking for it? Because I don't want this war. I don't want $10 a gallon gas. But why is Iran just asking for it?
These people are insane. He said, we want that kind of government. We want to live that way. We buy blue jeans. We buy cell phones. We like that style. It's the mullahs, these insane people who are out there spouting this hatred, spouting this rhetoric. I mean, we've got nukes, and yes, we used them during World War II, and we stopped the war. We can argue whether it was right or wrong to use it. But I haven't heard the United States threaten to use nukes against any other country ever since, even in the Cold War during the Soviet Union back in the 60s. I mean, we didn't say, we're going to launch against you. I mean, the Iranians, the government, talks in terms of using this stuff. When you have a neighbor that says, we're going to blow you off the map, we want a regime change, we want you gone.
Oh, listen, if I had a neighbor that got in my face and said, I'm going to kick your butt, and then he was menacing me with an axe, I'd kick his ass.
You have to do something. You could be living right next to him. You could peer over his fence all the time, like pool time. You just can't let that happen. When you weigh all that, I have got to assume that there's going to be some kind of conflict to take out.
But Iran, like I said, I mean, Israel is an absolutely armed camp. It's got the United States backing it up. Why is Iran playing into that? I mean, I don't want this war. I'm not against Iran, like you said.
My prediction is something's going to happen after the election. I do not believe that the powers that be want anything to get involved with the election one way or another. I think they're a little confused over what candidate would benefit from some kind of military intervention in Iran. But I think something's going to happen. We have seen Iranian hackers attacking the bank system successfully, shutting down websites and things like that. And that's just what we know. We don't know what we don't know. But I just have this gut feeling, Alex, that something is going to happen. It's going to be very, very soon. And all hell could break loose. Let's hope to God it's not as bad as I think it could be. But I think something's going to happen. And it's a double-edged sword. There's a problem here. There's no question that Iran is working on nuclear weaponry along with their nuclear program. I mean, they're doing that. So you have to be concerned over a nation like that spouts the kind of rhetoric and hatred.
Briefly, what are some of the scenarios? How do you see this starting, and what do you see Iran doing?
Well, I see almost any day now we can wake up and find out that Israel's launched a preemptive military airstrike against Iran. It could happen any day now. And when it's not just going to be one strike, it's going to be an air campaign. It may even involve missiles. I would say that over a period of time, it could become nuclear on Israel's point. Israel could use some of its tactical nuclear weapons. But also, people shouldn't step back and think, oh, this is a war that Israel's just going to automatically win. This is not a board game. It's not it's not a computer game. It's not calculated how it's going to turn out in any way that you could.
The Iranians are a lot bigger threat than Iraq. Look, I don't want a war, and I want to see Iran become a freer country, but why are there mullahs and people saying we're going to blow Israel up? And they really are saying that now. It's like they want this war to happen. Oh, that's crazy.
It is crazy. And that's one of the things I said before. We need to look at the Reagan approach to things, where if I were President Obama, I would have 3 U.S. carrier groups there all the time, one in the Mediterranean, one in the Red Sea, one in the Persian Gulf, ready to go, and say, while we don't want war, the moment we think you're going to do anything aggressive, we will kick your ass. And I think that's the approach we need to look at taking, because obviously I don't think what we're doing right now is not going to stop. There are crazies within their own government who would sooner see the return of the 12th Imam, which is their religious belief, that somehow if they create enough chaos, that their religion would see the return of one of their religious leaders. And so there is that element of crazy. To produce nuclear weapons, you have to have rational people who understand science. Great. You've got equally committed crazies who are putting out this propaganda and who may well cross that line. Our interest, I think, as most Western interests are, is to maintain basically the status quo at least as long as we can. And then if there is any hint of use of force that the Iranian government understands, that we will be forced to take military action against them. But
no matter how much they saber rattle, and look, I got to tell you, Alex, we could take care of the Iranian Navy in a matter of hours, and I'm not exaggerating. I despite the fact that there's a lot of I think conflicting information. Look, we've got a carrier sitting, in there right now. We don't need more than a couple of carriers to take care of what would be necessary. With that said, we have to understand the huge consequences of that action regarding our own economy.
An assassin riding a motorcycle, that's the Mossad signature, weaves through Tehran morning traffic towards his target. Almost invariably, a car, the vehicle of choice for officials of Iran's nuclear program. I guess it's a Peugeot, you pronounce it. Continuing, leaning out a hand, the motorist attaches a magnetic explosive device, sometimes called a sticky bomb, to the door nearest the man he's trying to kill and then speeds off. Seconds later, the bomb is detonated by remote control. It is so sophisticated that only the target is killed. Those sitting next to him or in front or behind him escape with just cuts and bruises. Yeah, it's a escape charge. And boy, you better believe the folks carrying these out are risking their lives. Trying to get into Iran and do that. The latest assassination comes at a particularly tense time in Iran's relations with the West. But if they get us into a big war, Americans will rally around the flag that's plastered on the war. The Israelis will do it. The Brits will do it. And this is going to be a big war. The head of their intelligence unit for their parliament said they are going to target Tel Aviv and New York and other cities, which is a terrible idea to talk about it, especially. But if they do it, that will, I mean, if a scratch is laid on an American, there will be news cameras weeping, wailing, freaking out. How dare them when we're bombing them, do something, nuke them. What's amazing is that in the last 5 years, there have been hundreds of assassinations and thousands of killings. Because in some cases, they blow up whole buildings full of people, blow up whole military bases. And Iran doesn't like to look weak. So they're always saying, oh, that bridge just blew up when Ahmadinejad drove across it. Or, oh, this command military base or this internal police base headquarters just blew up. There's a crater at a 15-story building. Nothing's there. The building's blown all over the city. There's a gas main. So Iran won't say it's the U.S. and Israel and England. And our own government won't.
What he's saying is that Iran actually has several nuclear devices, including EMPs, that they put together.
Well, that's what Colonel Shaffer, who is definitely not a hawk, says, and I respect him a lot. And I also have family pretty high up in the Army, and they told me 5 years ago, look, Iran already has 2 nukes. So I don't know if that's internal propaganda or whether it's true, but Colonel Shaffer believes it.
I agree. I don't know either whether it's propaganda to push us supporting Israel, but if they actually have the 2 to 10 nuclear devices they're talking about, then I think they're just waiting for an Israeli or U.S. attack to justify doing an EMP attack on Israel and the United States to just totally shut us down.
Yeah, I think that's what the big gear up. That's what the Swiss government says, is they're worried about World War III starting. The Secretary of Defense says it could lead to that.